Welcome back, everybody. It seems like everyone's been talking about Google. Either they're a dying monopoly or because they're an undervalued gem in an irrational market. So a few of us jumped on a live stream and started talking about it, including what's the biggest risk to Google search, what's their new AI mode all about, why did I actually trim my Google position back in October? And do I think that Google is actually a buy now? And I will just say that nobody on the live stream actually told me that I had some like crazy beard, scraggling hair going on in there. So, apologize for that. But next time, guys, just tell me. It's okay. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So, is Google dead? The quick answer is, well, no. I mean, obviously, Google's not dead. They just had a quarter where their revenues were up like double digits, right? So they're obviously not dead. And I don't think when people say that Google's dead, I don't think they mean that they aren't making money, because they clearly are. I think what people mean is that, is it dying, right? And what I would say is, if you look at the assets that they have in total, they have some of the strongest assets out there. Now, I specifically highlighted YouTube, Cloud, and Waymo. But obviously their biggest moneymaker is search. The reason why people are worried about Google is because when you look at search, it's over half of their total revenue. If we look at their latest earnings release, if you look at search, right, you can obviously see it's more than half of their total revenues. But if you look at YouTube, it's about 10 billion. You look at cloud, it's about 12 billion. And, Waymo is like not profitable or just barely profitable now. So when you add up cloud and YouTube and Waymo, they don't even equal half of the revenues that come in from search, right? So that is the reason why people are talking about it as if there's a problem. Is Google search dead? No, I mean, come on. It's crazy to even think that. I think they even had some numbers out there where I think the actual number has continued to go up in terms of the number of times people are searching. But the question that people are asking is, AI search, LLMs, ChatGPT, is that going to disrupt Google search? I don't think that Gemini is as good as the other models, in my experience. And I've been using them for at least a couple years now, right? Gemini, to me, is just not as good as the other models, and I question if that's going to be a long-term issue for them or not. However, what Google does have is distribution, right? Everybody uses Google. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody uses Chrome. That is so powerful that even if they just put a decent amount of AI features into the normal Google search, which they've already done, and we'll talk about AI mode here in a minute, then they're going to get a lot of people just by default, right? Because people are already using it and they don't want to change, and they don't know the difference between one model and another model. And as long as it seems like it's good enough, that's going to be fine for the vast majority of people as it relates to, how they integrate that into search. That's my opinion. However, when I look at this to me is probably the scariest chart that I've seen related to being concerned over what's going on with Google search. So this is the click-through rate trends of paid and organic links on Google search. And the difference is AIO is AI overview. If you type in anything into Google right now, like I just typed in, what is perplexity? So these AI overviews are now all over Google search. And it's basically, it comes from Gemini, and it's trying to give you that kind of AI LLM experience at the top of Google search. And then you go down to all your links below that, right? So this part up here is the AI overview. What this chart is saying is that when the AI overview is not shown compared to when it is shown, the click-through rates are vastly different for paid and organic links, right? So if you just go here and you say, in January of last year, basically a year ago, it was 2.68, and now it's 3.97. So that's good. It's improved. I'm like trying to get understand the data as we go here. That's improved, but that's when the AI overview is not shown, meaning that when the links are up higher on the screen, they're more likely to get clicked. I mean, that makes logical sense, right? But when you look at when the AI overview is shown, then it's like it's less than half of what it was a year ago. And that's for organic links. And if you look for paid links, it's the same thing. When the AI overview is not shown, it's actually worse because it was 23% a year ago, which is actually pretty good. And now it's, a little under 18. Whereas when the AI overview is shown, it's down a couple percentage points, but it was basically 8. And now it's like mid 6. So the reason why I think that's important is because a couple things can happen here, right? Even if everyone's still using Google, if Google is not as profitable when it comes to search because the links aren't really working as well, then that can be a problem in itself, right? And so when he was saying that he believes it's the right decision for them to put those AI overviews over there, he's saying it because, look, it's going to cannibalize your business, but it's what you have to do to stay relevant, to survive, right? So that's kind of what I thought when I saw this. Is, to me, we can talk about like operating income and all those stuff with the financials. This is probably the most worrisome chart that I've seen in terms of, is Google search going to continue to be a good moneymaker for them in the future? The other thing I did after I saw that chart, because I was a little worried, I was like, man, I didn't know that the click-through rates had gone down that much. So I looked at their last quarterly earnings transcript from like a few weeks back. And what I noticed was that I was looking for anything around like ad performance and all the stuff. And the ironic thing is this is from Notebook LM, which is by Google, obviously. But the interesting part was that all of the highlights about ad performance didn't really have hardly anything to do with traditional Google search, right? It was all about like YouTube, they like AI powered marketing, like, being able to target specific people with AI, which is what Meta is doing a lot of, and it's working really well. So all of this stuff here is good stuff. But what I saw was that it's not really related to normal search, right? So it kind of lends itself to the whole question of, okay, is this really the trend? And is there stuff we have to worry about as it relates to Google search? Now, just today, so it's great timing, they released AI mode. Now, if you look at it, it's going to look very close to what we saw with like Perplexity, right? It's the same kind of idea where they're using Gemini. They bring in data from multiple places. They aggregate it all together and they make it look like almost a nice little like research report based on the question that you asked, right? So it's very much like Perplexity. I saw some people on X that were like, oh, Perplexity's dead because of AI mode for Google. And again, what Google has is mass distribution, and they have the benefit of people not wanting to change their process, right? Inertia, where a person's always opened up Google and searched. They don't even know what a Perplexity is. And so they're just going to use Google and be like, oh, what's this new stuff? And ironically, what they'll probably do is like, oh, gross, I don't want all this. I just want my regular search back, right? Like, this is how humans kind of work. They're very slow to change. And that works in Google's favor. They're trying to showcase that, look, we can do all the stuff that all these other things are doing if you want it, or you can just use us the way you've always used us, and the choice is yours, right? So that's definitely an advantage for them. What I'm doing, or what I did with Google, was I was uncomfortable with where they were at compared to their peers, right? I felt way more strongly about Meta. I felt way more strongly about Amazon. And so what I did was I took, a measured probability risk to say, I'm going to trim Google. It's still part of my portfolio because I think they can be a winner, but I don't believe in it as much as these other two. And so I'm going to put more of my portfolio into them instead. And so that's kind of the way that I've approached it. However, I think most companies in this space, regardless of if they're the winner or not the winner, I think they're probably going to do better compared to the majority of the companies in the market, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it is Google. At the end of the day, they still have YouTube. They still have Waymo. They still have cloud. Like, they have a lot of good things going for them, and that's not just going to stop. Obviously, we already mentioned it, but people are slow to change, especially non-technical folks. And I think as it relates to search, people are going to be even slower to change because they're so used to doing it a certain way for so long. They have a huge advantage in terms of distribution and inertia, which we talked about before. People are already using it. It's not like people are going to stop using Chrome. I know, Perplexity, OpenAI, they're all creating browsers. All that's fine. But again, only your real early adopter type people are going to be doing that, at least at first. And so, I don't know that that's a huge thing for them. And then they actually do seem to understand the challenge, right? Like they've talked about, we got to get more scrappy. We got to dig in a little bit more. So I think they understand kind of what the problem is. And then obviously, I actually still hold some Google in my portfolio. So clearly I'm not totally down on them. I didn't sell out of it completely. But again, my point here is there are risks. And I think it would be wrong to just ignore them and act like, oh, it's fine because they're, have a decade long, trajectory of growth. I mean, that doesn't matter anymore, right? So it's just one of those things where understanding what it is, why you believe what you believe, and then adjust your allocation to them or any other company accordingly. This is a great question. Raphael, do you think Google search will be the main source of income moving forward? So the short answer is, I don't know, of course, always caveat it with that. How I would answer this is, if it is, then I think that Google's in trouble. So that's kind of how I would answer that. I think that they have a lot of very positive things. Obviously, YouTube is amazing. We don't know what Waymo is going to be in terms of profitability yet over the long term. And then cloud, right? But if things like cloud and YouTube become a bigger part of the pie, I think that's a positive thing for Google. My question for Google search in terms of being the main income source is, I think the trends that we saw on that chart in terms of click-through rates and all that would have to change, or some kind of new innovative way to monetize AI-related results would need to be created or kind of, win out. That's my thought on that. All right. So here's the other question from Tyler. Do you think LLMs could increase the fraction of monetizable searches, even if they slow incremental growth in search? I actually think the opposite of that is happening. I think they are increasing the growth in search, at least according to Google. They said that people are using it more than ever because of the AI overviews. But I think that the profitability of each individual one is going down, right? So I think the opposite of what you're saying is what's going to happen, that people may actually use it more because they can use it for more things. But at least based on that chart that we saw, if the click-through rates continue to go down, advertisers, in my opinion, will likely pay less if there's a better option. And in this case, the better option could be Meta. I don't know. So we'll just have to see. So Jeremy S., is Google a buy? Yeah, so I agree with what people have said in terms of, are there risks? Yes, there's risks. But it's priced right now at like a 13 projected price to cash flow. I think regardless of what happens with all this, they're probably going to be more of a winner than most of the companies in the market. Now, are they going to be a bigger winner than Meta or Amazon or OpenAI or whatever? I don't know. But I think that they have way too many high quality assets and they're trading at, a price valuation that is pretty low for a company of that quality. So yeah, I would say that it's a buy. I had it on my list, I think in my portfolio overview. So yeah, bottom line is that Google still has a lot of great things going for it. And I think we just need to see how their risks are going to evolve over time, specifically as it relates to Google search and overall volume and profitability of that part of their business. But if you guys want to see how some of my older stock analysis turned out, you can watch this video right here. Hope you guys have a great day out there. Financial independence is true freedom. So keep building and stacking wins. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.